The moon rises over the sea. Somewhere at the ends of the earth, someone else is watching it too. There are nights when we look up at the sky and see the moon, radiant, calm, and yet unbearably cold. That moon doesn't shine for us alone. It also shines for all those who are lost, broken, or drifting in some faraway corner of the world. We may never know each other's faces, but right now, we're living through the same moment. When the moon rises above the ocean, and hearts crash like waves below. I've been there. In that place where all you hear is the sound of your own sighs, when your career shatters, when your family falls apart, when everything you try to build collapses in a blink. I once thought, if life is a stage, then my role must be a tragedy, without an ending. People love to say, you have to be strong. But I asked myself, what is strength, really? Can it rescue me from bankruptcy? Can it rebuild what I've lost? Or is it just a sugar-coated lie society tells us to keep us quiet? Have you ever asked yourself something like that? Is willpower really enough to rebuild from nothing? It sounds good, but when you're standing in the ruins of your life, that answer feels more insulting than comforting. Because the truth is, sometimes even your will gives out. But I learned something. No one can lower a ladder into your pit and pull you up. But if you still have a single finger that can move, if you still have a single breath left in your chest, that is the seed of your rebirth. Rebirth doesn't begin with grand dreams. It begins with something painfully simple. The truth. Living truthfully. But what if the truth is I'm lazy, cowardly, selfish? Is living truthfully just accepting those flaws as who I am? No, living truthfully doesn't mean surrendering to the darkness inside you. It means looking at it and saying, I see you. You are a part of me, but you are not all of me. That cowardice, that laziness, that greed, they are just the parts of me exposed when I no longer have anything left to hide behind. And from that raw, ugly truth, I found the lowest ground to stand on. A place to begin again. It sounds simple, but it's one of the loneliest and most courageous journeys we can take. Because most of us don't live as ourselves. We live as roles, programmed by expectations, fears, and the need to be accepted. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist, called this hidden part of us the shadow. It holds everything we try to ignore: weakness, pettiness, jealousy, anger, failure. But Jung also said something powerful. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. In other words, healing doesn't come from chasing external light. It comes from bringing light inside, to places we've spent a lifetime denying. This isn't foreign to Eastern philosophy either. Zhuangzi once wrote, "The true human is not bound by praise or blame, but lives in harmony with nature, and so is always at peace." To live in harmony with nature doesn't mean giving up. It means returning to your original heart. No pretending, no performing, no forcing. It's the same wild freedom you find in the poetry of Li Bai, who once wrote under the bright moon, "When joy comes, drink deep. Don't let the golden cup sit empty beneath the moon." The moon in his verse doesn't offer warmth, but it does offer company. As if someone far away is looking up at the same sky and somehow understands the things we cannot say. To live truthfully doesn't mean putting everything out into the world. It simply means stop lying to yourself. Dare to name the pain. Dare to admit the failure. Dare to say, "I'm not okay," and not feel ashamed of it. Living truthfully won't fix everything overnight, but it gives you a ground to stand on. A place to plant a new seed. Even barren soil can give rise to life, if it's real. Honesty is the beginning of strength. Not the kind that lets you fix everything all at once, but the kind that stops you from pretending any longer. When I stopped running from my pain, I started to understand it. When I stopped performing, I started to listen. And in that stillness, I heard the faint cry of an old child in me, just trying to be held. That's where I began to live again, not as a hero, but as a regular person, piecing myself back together, slowly, gently, truthfully. You ask me, is willpower alone enough to rebuild everything? I won't pretend to know, but I do know this. As long as you're honest with yourself, you still have a place to grow something new. I don't want to call it hope. That word can feel too shiny. I call it quiet honesty. Like the moon above, it won't warm you, but it might help you see the path if you're willing to look. And maybe the way out of the darkness doesn't begin with something big. It begins with a trembling step toward the light, a light that lives inside you. You can read this as if you're reading a page from your own journal, or you can share it with someone else who's falling apart, the way you once were. Because as the old poem goes, the moon rises above the sea, and across the ends of the earth, someone else sees it too. You are not alone. You're simply learning how to be human again, fully, truthfully. And who knows? Maybe the moon is watching you too, waiting patiently for you to take your first honest step out of the dark.